Good, yourself? Busy?
Yeah, slam. You guys have Wi-Fi?
I think there is, I think there is.
DAC guest?
I'm sorry?
DAC guest?
That's it.
Anything you gotta do on it? Username and password.
I don't know if there is one. I don't know.
Well, it's got a little.
Oh, is it? Okay. I've never used it, so.
Morning, how are you?
Can I help you there?
They don't have any,
Oh, there's no replace there.
they don't know.
Oh, that's
not
right, they
here.
don't. I forgot.
I'm gonna go.
It's okay.
That's cool.
I didn't know that that was. So, and I don't know if that's.
No, 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 that's, with the reviews that I've been doing, I don't know if it's.
Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Hey, Michael.
sir.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We sitting here?
Yeah.
I do.
Morning.
Morning. Get what? No.
Did you get one already? Yeah. Oh, I'll keep it for me. Yeah.
You have a good week off? Go home somewhere?
My class actually changed.
Yeah.
had the same pretty much comments.
Thank you.
That does mistype, but. Because that way it goes into that number. Yeah, it's like 600. I did the same thing, pretty much. Just so you're aware. Because I think Art referenced that in his slides.
It's in here?
It should be a couple.
Okay.
It'll be the last meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Okay, we'll begin with the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? If not, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve, Renee Molina.
Michael Garza, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes from the meeting of February 17th, 2022. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes or comments? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
Michael Garza, motion to approve.
Second, Renee Molina.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And we'll move on to item number 3, new business.
Good morning, DRC committee members, Chair, Art Uvio, Planning. So this is, the owner for the property, the applicant is Ms. Carol A. Meyer Livingston, and the owner's representative is Ms. Lillian Watson from Gen Survey. Location of the property is north of Cristo Vista Avenue and east of Alvarez, south of La Union. Sorry, let me take my mask off. The zoning is T2 rural. The zone consists of sparsely settled lands in open or cultivated conditions. The property size is 230 acres, and the plan did not show any structures on site. The request is for modification to the thoroughfare requirements for property located in a T2 zone district, requiring a rural, local street and surfacing. The applicant is requesting a summary administrative plat under the Type 3 subdivision for 5 parcels, one of which is less than 10 acres in size. The applicant is proposing 5 lots. Access to the property is from Cristo Vista Road, a private unpaved road. Water, wastewater, based on disclosure statement, well service, septic system, electric, gas, irrigation disposal is the purchaser's responsibility. So the modification sections are 350-402 for Development Review Committee, which provides a recommendation to the P and Z, and that is Section 35104, Administrative Authority by the Planning and Zone Commission. So after this, the item would go to the P and Z for final review and approval. So this is the request submitted by the applicant. So they're requesting Section 35403.13 provides separate legal described paved access directly to the nearest arterial or collector highway, and also 35602 thoroughfares, rural, local, required in T2. So the applicant is proposing to deviate from those current standards, and they're basing it on NMDOT and Pillar Engineering. Her intention is to develop the road through Track 5 up to Track 1 using the private road cross-section shown in the exhibit. And this is the exhibit. The first one is 35062, the rural, local required, which requires 24-foot of 2-inch HMAC and 6-inch base course with 4-foot shoulders. The applicant is proposing a private road of 24-foot with native soils and a 12-foot and a 6-foot, looks like a swale, some sort. This is the cross-section from the current section of the code. And these are the sections that are relevant from fire. Section D103.4, dead ends. Dead-end fire apparatus access roads in excess of 150, 45, 720 mm shall be required within width and turnaround provisions in accordance with Table D103, which is below. These are the cross-sections for the dead-end fire apparatus access road turnaround, relevant cross-sections. This is the subdivision map that was submitted. And what I did is they were pretty large, so I just kind of like try to piece them together so you could see them all in one. And that's kind of like what it looks like. It's a little distorted, sorry about that, but that's what we're looking at. It's 5 lots. And the road is right over here. I believe this is the road. This is the, wait a minute. Is this the road? No? This one here, this one here. With that, that concludes my presentation. Unless there is there any questions from the committee?
I have a question. You pointed to that, I guess that access road right there. I can see it on an aerial image on what the alignment for that road is, but I got a proposed roadway cross-section in some of the deliverables, and it's to Valley View or Valley Vista Drive. I want to make sure I understand which road is being proposed and what the distance is. Sorry, do I need to repeat it? Okay, so I'm seeing the road you just pointed out, that's kind of diagonal. I got a proposed roadway cross-section in the email invitation that had a Valley Vista Drive title on it. I just want to make sure that I know which road's being improved and for what distance. Because I'm looking at what Valley Vista Drive is, and that's the road that's heading north-south on the east end of the property.
There it is, now it's on. Okay, so yeah, Valley Vista comes up from Kugel, and we're calling it Valley Vista even as it extends into the property, just that's how it's mapped on Google and stuff. But yes, following that existing alignment of that existing dirt road, it's used by I believe right now, is it in current use by the county to access that levee? Yeah, so we wanted to keep that in place, and we've added an easement through the property, and from what I understand, we're proposing to improve that all the way up through that access easement as well. So the
Right,
county can continue to access that.
So I believe we've talked to Ms. Meyer before about it, and when
Yes.
the portion that you're showing on the property, I don't have any issues with. It's the portion that's from Kugel north to the southeastern corner of the property. About 1,800 feet north of the Kugel intersection, there's a flow path that travels from west to east. It's about a watershed that's like a square mile, and it comes directly into a privately owned flood control structure that actually breached this last year. So I've been out there quite a bit, and it does get quite a bit of water. So whatever improvements are made from Valley Vista to the southeastern corner of your property, I think there should be drainage considerations for that flow path in that location. But conceptually, I'm not opposed to it being improved. It's just, I'd like to see a little bit more on that crossing.
As far as, so we're not suggesting that we're going to take the improvements down to Kugel. So we wouldn't.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was making,
Yeah.
I wanted to clarify that they're,
And the reason being is all of that's private ownership.
Right.
Kugel is actually a private road. Valley Vista is a private road. It's easements. So there's a lot of working with the community that would need to go on to even make that happen.
so all you're proposing is what's shown within your property boundary?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
I'd have a couple questions that I'd like to add to that. So regardless of whether that's what you're proposing, unfortunately, you're required to show improvements or show that the access road from the nearest county or state-maintained road is analyzed. I had a I had a conversation with Bernadette Gendon that reviewed this. And there was a road surface analysis that was submitted, prepared by Paul Pompeo, submitted by Pillar Engineering. And it's deficient. It makes reference to drainage being parallel to the road where in fact it's not. There's some deficiencies associated with structure. There's deficiencies associated with the width as well. For this project, Anthony, you are to have an access road to every single lot. And it has to be from every single lot to the closest state or county maintained road, which in this case, it's Kugel. It is clear that you all will have to look at that crossing that Michael is referencing. We had multiple calls last year, both in August and September, where people couldn't get through, where delivery services couldn't get through, where trash trucks couldn't get through, where LP trucks couldn't get through. So there has to be some thought placed on that location. And that really is going to revert back to probably your subconsultants to take a look at. I also did have a question in regards to getting input from NMDOT. Can you elaborate on that?
The input from NMDOT is they didn't want to look at it. It was just comments from
Okay.
the application. And
So-
it's not like they're saying, this doesn't need to go in or something like that. It's just they have no input.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, I was wondering if they maybe elaborated and suggested certain things.
No, they said there was no impact because it was such a small,
Yes, their roadways is probably, half a mile away, and the amount of traffic that this would generate is not huge,
Yeah.
and so that's why.
Yeah,
But
it's
it kind of is, it kind of leads me to believe the way it's written that there was maybe favorable information provided by NMDOT. That's why I was asking. I think this is something that could actually move forward, but it needs some work. Again, you're showing a private road, and we know it will have to remain a private road unless you improve it completely. But you're showing a 24-foot wide where I just saw reference, and fire is here and they could elaborate on it, but I just saw reference to once it gets a certain length, you need to have a certain width, you need to have turnarounds every so often. And you made reference to private roads leading to this where you may not be able to accommodate those parameters. But I think it may be a little premature in having this come before us for a recommendation because it's lacking. I'm going to say I think it could move forward, but I think there's information that needs to be substantiated and presented to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any input on it before I start my thing.
Well, just to clarify what your comments are, when you say you're comfortable with it moving forward, you mean you support the concept, but not enough to recommend an approval as presented?
Yes, sir. I support the concept in that it would be a privately maintained road that your clients and whoever purchases this property at a later date will be totally and fully responsible for, from Kugel Road all the way to that location, because it is something that is associated with this subdivision. And there has to be someone that has to be responsible for the maintenance of the road. Now, do I believe it's fair? No. But is your client gonna have success in getting everyone abutting that roadway to sign off? I don't know. But that's a task that you all could take on if you'd like.
Well, yeah. Believe me, I know. And Carol, just so you guys know, she even pursued years ago setting up a special district for taxation to get the roads improved. In the presentation that Art gave, there are improvements on the property right now. There's a ranch house that's out there that would be where this easement, if you could show that again, Art, that would be awesome. This is the plat, real quick. So there's an existing house which is in, right now, it's tract, what we're calling tract 1. There's an existing ranch house in there. And it's used, and I believe right now, used mostly for horseback riding, right? From the area. Carol's got a reputation of working with the county, working with the sheriff's posse, I think, as well, giving access and use of the land, you know, in increasing this. You know, you mentioned fairness. I mean, I think everyone knows it's not about fairness. It's just more about working with the people in that area. We've done several splits over the past couple of years, and we did one recently on Macarena. And, you know, everyone knows the drainage situation out there. A lot of the community is aware of it, yet there's not been any real positive movement on getting the community together to get something done. I think Carol is in a good position, being the last one at the end of the line, to keep that pressure up. We've had a lot of talk. She's spent on this, just on this project, just with us, not including the money she's already spent with Pillar and Pompeo, which I agree is deficient. We reached out to them. Based on the last CRC, they're willing to update this, but, you know, lots of things are said, and, you know, time is another thing. So we do know that will be updated. But from our standpoint, I mean, really, the cost of preparation to bring it, like, as Renee had suggested, to something that would actually be something you guys could get behind, I think it's cost prohibitive for her. She spent $8,000 with us already to go this far. I mean, we've got topography on the whole thing, surveyed it to death. We've analyzed it like crazy. We know the conditions, but it's not really giving us any new routes to get that done without burdening Carol with the entire thing. And, you know, if she, for example, improves Cristo Vista, that's an improvement for the whole neighborhood. And probably one that needs to be done with their input, not just Carol's. And I think a long-term goal for the area would be to establish something like that. Maybe put Carol in the position to be the first one in, to maybe do a payment in lieu, set up a special escrow account or something for the community to start throwing money into. That's, you know, handled by the county. I don't know. But those are the issues that she's dealing with. She's wanting to add really 5 lots, but it's not 5. It's really 4 with a huge remainder left over. So how she's impacting it with drainage and things like that, I mean, we won't know until individual lot owners purchase these and what they're going to do and how they're going to use it. But again, if there was some kind of positive traction that would happen in this community so that this could be taken care of, I think it would be beneficial. But right now, we're at the point where I don't think it's in her best interest to carry that whole cost. I don't think she'd recoup it with this number of lots, you know. It's just not going to be a financial success for her in any case. So that's why we've kind of got the brakes on right here. And it may be best to argue this with the commission directly. I don't know. But because she is spending a lot of money. She's spending a lot of time on it too. This is years in the making. And she has put good foot forward in working with anybody she's had to work with. So we're more wanting to hear your input, like you've already done, and work with you. And we're open to ideas, but really, we need it to continue to move forward so she can be heard by the commission. So even if it's not a approval, you know, we want to make sure that she's represented and at least gets a voice out there, because she's tried really hard to work with the community. Is there anything you want to add?
Anthony, a quick question for you then. And I hear you loud and clear, but I don't think it's even in our, from my perspective, personally, actually, countywide, I can't suggest this move forward to P and Z unless those documents that are lacking and deficient are actually updated so that we could do a thorough analysis based on what should have been submitted. And then gladly, I would suggest that it could move forward after the fact, but there's not a roadway maintenance agreement. There's deficiencies in the roadway surface analysis. There's no plan showing what the grades are gonna be. There's a cross-section. I like the cross-section.
Yeah.
But we need to see how that cross-section lays on the ground. And yeah, unfortunately, that takes more effort. But in order for us to, and on my side at least, to have that level of comfort and having some code compliance, I think we need that information prior. I would suggest moving it forward at all.
So what's your opinion on, I'm talking about meeting with commission, the Board of Commissioners, not with county commissioners, not planning and zoning, but because I think this is more of a situation where it needs some attention, you know, not just in the engineering and community development side, but actually as her being a citizen of the county and maybe getting some kind of special attention on this, because it's a huge piece of land. It's used by the public right now in certain portions of it for access, what she allows to happen on the property. So I'm more concerned that, basically what I'm saying is I don't think there's the appropriate path for her to even do anything out here, really, with the way that code's set up, zoning is set up. She's like the last one on there. She does have improvements, and there are people that own property here that are, like, live on Cristo Vista right now. But without her being completely burdened with that entire process to just put 4 lots in, I mean, what if she changed her mind, wants to do something else? I mean, there's just not a pathway without her carrying the whole burden. So I think this is the only path we had, you know, given what we have available. But I really feel like maybe we need to create an audience for her that's going to give her some relief, or at least have the conversation with her, because any of the avenues here are just going to be more money and more time.
I'm not aware of a process where you could bypass the P and Z, because typically after this, it would go to P and Z.
Correct.
And then if there is a favorable decision, that's it, it would end
Yeah.
at P and Z. But you're actually suggesting that we bypass P and Z in its entirety and go directly to BOCC. Is there any mechanism? Not that I know of.
No, I mean, we do have to follow the process, and unfortunately, because the ordinance is written a certain way, the P and Z and the BOCC would not be able to waive those requirements either. What you're requesting, you know, the modification specifically for the area that you are platting, there is a mechanism in the code, but there is no mechanism in the code to grant a waiver for other requirements that are not included within the plat. So, you know, the application needs to follow that process. And I really, I'm struggling to figure out a way that you could have that audience with the BOCC without following the proper procedure for this application.
If we follow procedure, so let's just say, I mean, I don't think that there's any issue with putting in, like, we can put in the turnarounds or whatever along this easement. That's easy to do. And we can definitely get the surface analysis updated to current standards. We're having to do that on the other one too, for our other Livingston client. So I don't see those as impossible. I just want to make sure you guys know where I'm coming from and what I'm stating. We can do that. Those things are easy. What I don't think we can do at this point without, burdening our client overly is, for example, do a whole plan and profile for all of Cristo Vista. I mean, I think that's kind of what you're saying, right? We need a plan and profile for that, a roadway cross-section, showing that access, another plan and profile going all the way down Valley Vista to Kugel. All those
Anthony, what
things.
you're representing basically is that your client is ready to do these improvements that are shown on this modification. The only way that I see being able to do those improvements is by doing the engineering. The engineering will lay the line and grade, and then it'll be reviewed, approved, then it goes into construction through permitting. But yes, we can't go with a cross-section and just go do it, especially in that area, especially in an area where we've acknowledged there's drainage issues.
Right. I'm just clarifying, what you would want to see, though, is cross-section all the way down to Kugel, right? And profile,
So it's what's required by the
Right.
code.
yeah, because it has to be to a county road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Which we'd also need to show turnarounds and things like that all the way up Valley Vista too, as well, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, see, that's very difficult to negotiate with those, because I don't see that there's even easements that allow for that width right now. So that's where we're at, so and I'm in the same position you, I don't see a way either getting that done to meet that. So what I'm seeing is the way that the code is set up right now is this is just shutting her down completely. I mean, are we wrong in looking at it that way?
It's a point of perspective. I
Yeah.
don't see it that way. We're presenting a mechanism by which your client can move forward. It's the feasibility.
Right, right.
And we're not financial analysts,
No,
but
I get you.
it's the feasibility, and only you and your client can determine the feasibility on it. But yeah, we're actually providing a mechanism by which it can move forward. And I would rather you see it that way, but that's how I see it.
Right, I know. So essentially, where we're at right now is we can't do anything to move this forward without correcting these deficiencies. If we were to present something that showed the turnarounds just on what we're willing to improve, what would be the next step? You'd make a recommendation for denial, right, to Planning and Zoning Commission?
Even with the turnarounds, my drainage concerns would remain the same.
Right.
So Flood Commission's comments wouldn't change unless there was an actual alignment through Valley Vista.
Right. So let's just say this whole thing goes through denial, and we get denied at Planning and Zoning Commission. At that point, is there any pathway to take it to BOCC after that?
You could appeal that decision to the BOCC.
Right. I think that's where we're at. I mean, honestly, I don't see, within what we've discussed with our client and what's available, the work she's already done in the community, we're just seeing that as a no. I don't know, Carol, if you have. I would like to make a few comments. Okay. So can she have some time to just talk to you guys? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. Please approach the podium.
Thank you. My name is Carol Meyer Livingston. I'd just like to give you all a little bit of the history. This 2 sections out here that's served by Kugel Road was part of a land exchange between the United States of America, the BLM, and the Nature Conservancy. There were 5 splits made within that 2 acres, that 2 sections. There was no legal easement. Since it came from the government, that was okay. Kugel Road, Valley Vista, Mountain Vista, Tierra Vista, Cristo Vista were all withheld by the government of the United States. And within that easement, those are public easements. Kugel Road was an 80-foot easement. The others are 50, 60-foot easements. Within that easement agreement from the United States, this isn't the government, the county can take over those roads at any time. Those are not completely private roads. I don't know exactly what mechanism you all used to pave Kugel, but I do know that that was written in those easements 33 years ago. We did acquire a 50-foot easement from NM 273 up to the intersection of Valley Vista and Cristo Vista as an association, and then at that time stopped the association. At this time, there's probably 120, 150 houses out there. We've been taxed on this as private property. There's quite a bit of income. It's really an outstanding area. Nothing else I know like it. It's mostly 2 to 5 to 10 acre tracts, except for a few large ones like the one that I have. Then Rassett Homes has something they've had for probably 15 or 20 years, have not done anything with. At one time, probably about 2005, when we had our property association, West Hills Property Association, we had gone through P&Z and I believe gotten to the Board of County Commissioners with a special assessment district that about 80% of the residents out there, not just residents, landowners, were in favor of. We wanted to have a special assessment district, which we would have had for 15 or 20 years, that would have taken a little bit of our annual taxes and set it aside for exactly the problem that we have today. The Board of County Commissioners, because of input from a few very vocal people who were not at all the majority, saying that they couldn't afford the $12 a year tax increase per acre, because of that, it was tabled. So y'all did not do a special assessment district. I can tell you at the cost of paving or even improving roads, there's no way that even if I sold that whole property, that I could afford to entirely bear the burden of Valley Vista from the paved Kugel Vista Road to Cristo Vista. Valley Vista's half a mile just to get to Cristo Vista, as is Mountain Vista and as is Tierra Vista. Then Cristo Vista is another mile. That's like 2.5 miles of road improvement and possibly paving. I believe it's over $1 million a mile. There were 4 miles withheld by the government that could be turned over to y'all, and there's got to be some way that this could be shared among the people that are benefiting from this road. Also, I believe that Kugel Road in the future is designated as part of the way that people will get not just from Artcraft to the new proposed road that will go from the port of entry to the I-10 through New Mexico. And in addition, I see that we have just gotten $64 million in our area that's mostly designated for Sunland Park, Santa Teresa, and the Borderplex. Sunland Park is now annexed within a mile of Kugel Road. All of the development is happening here. It just seems like all of the development is happening in Sunland Park or in Santa Teresa, not in Doña Ana County. It is very difficult to develop here. I am not a developer. I spent 33 years getting this far, and it's a beautiful property, but I don't develop. I have made a 40-acre split back in 2001, and I developed, well, I made, in 96, before the regulations were changed, I made 4 lots, 2 of which were sold. I'm asking for a horse property, this 15-acre property. I would like to split off the 50-acre property because there are a lot of arroyos through there. I'd like for those to be withheld as natural arroyos. And then there's 2 small lots just to be able to sell to afford improvements. But there's no way that I could afford or should be saddled with the responsibility for developing all of the roads that approach that property. It is a lot bigger of a problem than I have a solution to. I think it's very sad that we didn't get that special assessment district through. We need something through in the meantime. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
So yeah, that's kind of, that was a really good summary, Carol, by the way. Thank you. So that's where we're at. We wanted to meet with you. I felt like this is a good opportunity to have this again. I know, Michael, you were there for the pre-app meeting, so, I mean, you knew this was coming, but anyhow, if there's any suggestions, I mean, we can certainly update this, to put fire turnarounds and things like that in that portion, but I think what is clear is she doesn't want to take on the burden of all that. So if we do move forward, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at, is expecting denials and expecting an appeal and have an argument with the BOCC over this and try to get something for our client. The quickest way to get that done, I think, is in her best interest right now.
Are there any more comments from the committee? Is anyone ready to make a motion?
Michael Garza, I would just say, from the committee, a motion to deny the proposed roadway, I guess, cross-section as presented, on the basis of being an incomplete submittal.
Second, Renee Molina.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion passed and this item is denied. So we will move on to staff input. Is there any input today? Any public input? Okay. And so we will move on to item 6, adjournment. And we will adjourn at 9:39 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.